Hello, storytellers. It's Storytelling Ron. I want to go over combat in For the Lord RPG and try to do a quick video because I talk too much in the other ones. Okay, so here's the basic combat, how I do in Dungeons and Dragons. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so there's your two hit. You can have aggression or awareness. This aggression is like your strength. Awareness is like your dexterity, but it's more awareness. Then you have a defense of 12, so you have to beat a 12 to hit somebody. Now, and it's like dodge and deflect. That's what the defense represents. And you can improve that with a shield, with your awareness. Let's say it's a +4, and then a helm or greater helm. So you can have up to a defense of 20. That could be improved with better shield or better helm or whatever. So that's it. So basically a 12 or somewhere around a 12 is what you need to hit somebody. And my minions are like 13, 14, and I don't include the armor in that, just these factors right here. Now, once you get hit, there's an armor save. Okay. So if you take the damage, you can then reduce it with your armor save. And that's a fun roll to have in the game. It's frustrating when you hit someone in, the enemy, and then they reduce it down, and then there's a minimum of 1 depending on the strength of the weapon. So you always take 1 off of them if you have a good weapon, and it's better than the armor. So like a little rat can't minimum of 1, hit you and then take you down 1 every time it hits, kind of thing. There's also nat 20 grievous wounds, which you will, if you get a grievous wound, you take a wound and you're at minus, let's say D4 every turn, every roll. You have a wound that is not going to stop. There's also bleed too, and I'll show you the weapons. And that does not heal with rest or anything. You have to days of rest, or miracle healing by the nun will heal that. But it's a big thing. And once you go past minus 12, you're dead. So I do make it this kind of scary. Vitality 16 is the highest you can get even at the beginning. And it goes up slowly after that. You only get a D6 roll if you want to improve it. With one of your experience points, and no rerolls, just one roll. It can be a 1, it could be a 6, but vitality is going to be pretty low in this game, and this is like really high, the best. But if you go down to 0, you will get life saves, so there is that there. But if you do recover from that, you'll still have your grievous wounds. They don't go away, and you're in trouble with those. All right, so let me just go over real quick how the weapons are. So the weapons are just like D&D as far as doing damage, the same kind of thing here. But also there's like the burden is how much you can carry. Range is loosey goosey, just visual. Does it look like they're close? Does it look like they're medium? Go with that. No measuring or nothing. No, just have fun. Style is in there. It's optional in the sense of, in the beginning when you got grandma and your aunt playing, you don't need to throw all this extra stuff in here. But as a player gets into the game, you can start telling them, oh, by the way, you can parry with your sword, or by the way, you can use pull on your axes. The hammer has a crushing. It's 19 and 20 for a crit. So these are just add-ons that you do as the characters get more and more involved. There's a bleed. If you do a certain amount of damage, they start bleeding 1 per turn, 1 wound, 1 vitality per turn. Vitality is in points. Okay, so that's in there. It makes it cool. It makes it different. So here's the armor. This is the reduction in armor and how much it reduces the damage by when you take it. You can sacrifice a shield. If you get a crit, you can say, I'll sacrifice my shield. It's destroyed, but you don't get the crit, the actual armor. Okay. So that's that. That's pretty, here's the combat rules right here. Surprise. Okay. So there's surprise, and that's narrative driven. Is the minions hiding and able to jump on them? And I wouldn't do all of them. I would make it narrative. Maybe the little scrappy ones run up in surprise and attack, and then the rest come out, but then we're in combat. Again, loosey goosey. Ranges, like I said, loosey goosey. And if they're at medium or far, you can give them minus D4, minus D6 penalty to any ranged attacks. If you remember. If you don't, that's fine too. Rounds. So rounds is and turns. Rounds is everyone doing it, and a turn is your turn, your turn, your turn. And again, I'm going to mix it in order of combat. Loosey goosey narrative. If it's a little scrappy cult warrior minion with daggers, you might want to make them go first, and then the holy warrior probably is going to go towards the end. The cleric could do a free action and help to bless or protect the warrior, or they could whatever. Anyway, so they can do a free action as far as blesses go. But if you're doing rebuke, you want to rebuke that little cult warrior from attacking you. Down, you heathen. That's an action, and then and end. So if this little scrappy guy is charging and the cleric wants to rebuke him, I'm gonna let the cleric go first because he just has to speak. Down you, and let him go first. If they're really excited, if they want to jump in, let them go first. That's fine. That's how I do narrative or initiative, because I don't want it to be a point where they we stop, roll for initiative, which I actually do love, but I love this better. I don't like stopping, rolling for initiative. Everyone gets in their order. Just as soon as something happens, man, just these guys run out and charge at you. No one responds. Then you have your little scrappy, ambush attack first. But if someone responds, like I get out my sword and okay, go for it. And you can do a roll, an awareness versus awareness if you want, if you feel like there's a challenge within that. But then as the combat goes, it tends to me, I tend to simplify it so that all the good, all the missionaries go and then all the villains go. I sort of like get into that rhythm at some point during the thing, which is fine. You can just go and whatever's easy. The initial thing, make it fun, making everyone jumping in, figure out who goes first and in a narrative sense. And then after that, when start to sift through them, just start favoring the characters as far as getting them their turn first, and then the minions or whatever. And then in situational, you can always add a plus D4, minus D4 based on high ground or whatever. Keep it minus D4, minus D6, that kind of range, D4, D6. Maneuvers. So everyone gets one maneuver per turn, or two if they're rushing about. There is flank and charge, and those are again optional. You don't have to worry about telling them or always using them. But if someone brings up they want to charge or flank, oh yeah, this is you get this. Actions. So the faith thing, like I said, free action unless they want to do rebuke or something that actually affects the enemy. Then that is an action, cost an action. Attack, shoot. You can do a skill, shield and cover. You can aid somebody. And that's even upgradable. So free actions is using your faith. You can impede someone, get in front of them. Grappling and fighting is always just aggression versus aggression. Who rolls the highest? Hindsight rolls. I'll let them if a paladin does a hit and then he wants to add glory for extra damage. He can decide that after the result is known. That's fine by me. Nat 1 fumble chart. And if you roll a 6, if you have a bonus die because of skills or whatever, and you roll a 6 or above, then you can negate the nat 1. And also the bonus die can act as narrative die. So if you roll a 1, you can add a little negative narrative. And if you roll a 6 or above, you can add a really special, awesome, epic narrative right here to the game. And that's just optional, fun if you can think of something. If you can't, just keep moving on to the game. Okay, and then finally, denouement. Denouement is really what helps out the game, the combat, especially move along, is that once the minions, especially minions, not necessarily the leaders, but you can do leaders. And actually, you might want to because things are getting bad. But if things go bad for the minions, then you can just roll and see if they'll flee, because generally they'll flee if they roll a D4, and most of those are flee. If they have like a cleric or something next to them, then you could probably make it a D6 and roll that in. But if they roll a 6 or above, they're to the death. And that's really it. And then underneath here is the life saves and kind of how that works, and conditions, and how they kind of work. And this is it. This is even most of the game rules too. So that's it. That's how my combat works. It's nice and fun and simple, very narrative driven. That's it. I want to make this video short. All right. Very easy.